welcome to the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast, the only podcast that is always an instant classic.
And you're new!
And we want to punch Jim Cornette in the face repeatedly until he bleeds because he's stupid. We will see you on the flippity dippity. Oh yeah. Apologize. Women, they always say things and then they're women and they're girls and they're not guys. That is generally what we're talking about in this video. Women's in the wrestling of the WWEs of the world and Florida. I have no idea where this video is going, but we're basically coming here talking about. We talked about it a little bit in a previous video. The change from divas to women again. We're gonna kind of talk about it, give our thoughts on it, if it's beneficial, if it's just a name, if Sasha Banks is the best in the world, and anyone who says anything otherwise is wrong, and JoJo couldn't hack it in NXT. These are the things that we need to talk about. These are the things that need to be established. Are you squeezing your stress sheep or whatever?
Yes, I am. You stressed me out talking about JoJo like that in that negative light. She's the best in the world at what she does, and what she does is just different from what everybody else does.
Yeah, like not succeed in NXT. I'm just saying,
she actually moved up from NXT. She's probably been she's been the fastest rising star from NXT to the main roster.
Was she at WrestleMania?
She was there. I'm sure she was.
Or was she like on the card?
Why would she be on the card? She's not a wrestler.
Did she interview anybody?
She did. I saw it. It was on the pre-show. It counts.
No, but I'm gonna give this to DJ because I have no idea what we're talking about. I don't know. He has the stress sheep, so.
All right. So now that I am completely relaxed, and if you ever need a stress sheep, just go to your local sheep store. But
I don't have one of those.
But nonetheless,
we live in the same dark.
Let's I know, right? You gotta start interesting. If you start normal, who's gonna watch? But I guess we should start because we've talked about this. Casey and I have talked about this. How do you guys feel about the rebranding from Divas to Women's? Did you feel like, and I guess now in hindsight, do you feel like it made an immediate impact, or do you feel like, what's y'all's overall thoughts on the change?
We have a similar thought on that.
We've been waiting for this to happen for a very long time.
Well, since the NXT Divas came up, to be honest.
And then it's kind of something I think we both talked about nonstop, and you could see it all over, We definitely weren't quiet about our feelings on it.
No words.
Since the Divas Revolution, I kind of think that it was all leading up to, it was a build-up of, kind of doing the rebranding, it came more of, women's wrestling rather than Divas matches, and, you could see that just throughout, the matches,
time,
mm-hmm.
the actual quality of the matches. They're allowing them to wrestle more than just smack, grab some hair, throw them down, and get a pinfall.
For a while, we were doing Diva timers, where we would literally time the Divas matches throughout the entire thing, and it was, I think the one night, it was literally 2 minutes and 34 seconds.
No, not even. There was one that was less than a minute long,
mm-hmm.
and that was when Nikki won the title from AJ Lee. That was maybe 50-some seconds long.
So we could definitely, we needed a rebranding, and I think the women's division needed it because of the superstars coming up from NXT. They were going from women's championship down in NXT to a Divas championship, which I think the term diva it's a little degrading to women. Nobody wants to be told that they're a diva. That's not something to be proud of. And then I think it just kind of stemmed from that. I think the branding in NXT did real well. Yeah, and I think they decided to transition that over to the main roster because it was doing so well.
Yeah, I don't. don't know. It's been building up for a while. I think they could have done some better things with it, though. A little bit better segueing. I mean, the matches were decent, and they were fine with that. I just think storylines are kind of failing.
Honestly, I think they could have tied it in with the whole Divas Revolution thing, because that started out really hot and started out really like a really good thing and something that really seemed like it was gonna make the transition itself. You know, with the whole Divas Revolution, I guess you could say. It kind of like because when it started out and Stephanie was like, "We need some new faces," like it already makes sense. Like, hey, let's change the title now instead of waiting, and let's throw a bunch of tag team matches on and hope that it actually works out. But I don't know. I felt like the Divas Revolution was probably. I think they could have probably debuted a title before WrestleMania. I don't know if maybe they thought, hey, WrestleMania is the biggest stage, so why not?
Yeah, I think that's where they were going with that. I think they could have just. The match was phenomenal between those three women. However, the ending sucked, and I think they did the title disjustice. And I'm not the biggest fan of Charlotte, but if she had to win the match, I wish she could have won it on her own merit. She's done it before, and if she has to do it, she can do it decently. If she won it on her own merit, I think it would have made that title a little bit better and probably left not as much of a bitter taste in 90% of the WWE Universe's mouth. But I don't know. I don't think they started out the Divas Revolution quite right with their storylines. I have a very long argument on that one.
If you're gonna make like a storyline based off of like teams, you need tag team belts.
Yeah.
It makes more sense than having one belt and all of these women fighting over one thing. It's kind of ridiculous.
15 women to be precise,
I agree. I think one thing about the Divas Revolution that I kind of did like is it did seem like it was giving more of these females a chance to kind of get out there and show what they got. Like Alicia Fox, who's been thrown around for so long, she got a chance to at least be on TV. It seemed like they got more TV time with the whole Revolution thing.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're kind of going backwards right now to a degree. I mean, maybe one women's match right now, and
there's no continuity either, which is an issue everywhere. But now that you've rebranded the division, I feel like it seemed like it would be easier to make continuity out of it. I feel like they should have immediately went with the Sasha Charlotte thing since they had that tied over from NXT. I think that would have been an easy segue into the new women's division. But I don't know. It's very interesting because. I definitely I feel like it was a good the diva. I don't know what I was saying. I lost my thought, but I feel like Casey, help me out here. Tell me what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
I don't know what you're saying, but I mean, I think with WWE in general, like we were saying, they're kind of going back a little bit now. I think when WWE does do good things, like now obviously, and they went bye. The camera's back. Sorry, ADD here. But I feel like, they do good things like, changing the divas to women again is a good thing. But I feel like with WWE, every 2 steps forward that they make, they always do 3 steps backwards. And that's what's going on right now. They're changing it. It's women now. It feels like they're kind of, I don't want to say getting rid of the divas or women who can't wrestle, but they're showing more of the women who really can wrestle and can put on good matches. But at the same time, now we're not getting as many matches. There's no continuity. It still feels like the women are kind of second fiddle sort of to the men, because all the there's 5 men's matches to 1 women's match. I don't see how that's fair. The women only have 1 title, like you were saying. I feel like they should have a tag team title or something. I mean, a bunch of like we were saying, me and DJ were saying in our previous video about the change from things that we would change in WWE if we had the power to do so. We would add a tag team belt or something, because there's so many other promotions around the world that have or have had a women's tag team belt, and I don't know why WWE doesn't. TNA has had one. There's
I'm surprised they haven't had an intergender type of a tag team.
That's what I was to say.
Yeah. I mean, they do enough with it.
I think that's the biggest change too. Like when the women's division was, the women's division before the Divas, they had women winning men's titles. They had the women interacting more with the men on the main roster and everything, and that kind of gave them more opportunity to grow. It gave them more title opportunity. We were able to see them more because they weren't just in the women's matches; they were also in the men's matches. So I think, maybe breaking back into something along those lines, even if they're not going to add more titles, because they said that, they changed the Divas to women because everybody's a superstar, but you're giving the men the storylines. All the men have more opportunities because there's too many belts for the men's division alone. Throw in some of the women into the men's storylines, and it would be maybe a little bit more interesting. Like, I would go for Sasha Banks being Intercontinental Champion, I'm just saying. That would be something I would want to see.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, I think they should have, to just WWE fans, that would be a little bit weird because there are those fans who specifically just watch WWE and, don't watch, other indie promotions where, they have regular matches where women face men, in different indie promotions. That's normal. You see, matches with men against women all the time. And I think to an extent on the mainstream, that's still a little bit, people are gonna, not be okay with that. But then at the same time, this is professional wrestling. It's supposed to be edgy. It's supposed to, push that limit, to an extent. So I think they should start doing, intergender matches, and it'll help the women even more because it'll show that, we already know that in their matches, all of these women that are coming up from NXT or have come up from NXT can do just as much as the guys, in most cases more. They put on better matches than a bunch of the guys. They do better moves than a bunch of the guys. They put on better matches in general. Why not put them together? And along with the storylines, I can't remember a time when I've seen, in the past couple years even, where, we've even seen a backstage segment with, men and women together, unless it was like, Lana as, Rusev's manager or something. They need to, intertwine these storylines and, make more than one storyline in general, because there's only really one storyline that really matters, and it's always the World Heavyweight Championship, and it's always somebody that we don't care about, like Roman Reigns, because fuck Roman Reigns.
I think, start off even something simple and easy, do some mixed tag matches, something along those lines. Even, start a faction where there is a woman involved into a man, like a male-dominated faction, something along those lines. Just anything to kind of just start getting the gender roles kind of more segregated.
They have it set. They have that storyline set up with the Wyatt family and the whole Sister Abigail thing. They have that intertwined already in it. I just don't know if they have the right person to put into the Wyatt family to make it enough of an impact.
Santana Garrett.
Yeah, I also
agree.
if they did like a Shield, if they brought the Shield back together, they could easily get one of the women to do that. I say Paige because that woman could take on anybody.
I think Nia Jax would be a cool one for like the Shield.
I could definitely see that.
Yeah, Nia would be good too. Powerhouse.
There's so many possibilities. Bring back, Carmella up, Enzo and Cass. Anything along those lines.
I mean, they did the Usos, Naomi, and then when Tyson Kidd was not injured, they had him, Cesaro, and Natty. They did some pretty good matches with that. So I don't know. They could do that, or they just need to allow women to actually have some storylines and not revert. They have some like horrible. I love Goldust. I love R-Truth, but the Golden Truth crap literally takes 5 minutes sometimes. or 10 total if you combine the promo and the match. That's an easily another women's match right there. Or something they're doing stupid with the Social Outcast as like just a quick jobber match. Like, get the heck off the screen.
League of Nations can go now. Like, that's a
Right.
little old. You know, people want to see Sasha Banks. They want to see Paige. They want to see the women's, and you get maybe like a glimpse of them. And you get like, when was the last time we saw Sasha, really?
England.
Yeah.
England.
I
Like,
think you could do. I mean, I think because you have with the men especially, you have the whole feuds where it's not surrounding the title, but it's still like a personal feud, like the Kevin Owens Sami Zayn feud, not surrounding any title, but there's still something
Right.
there. There's still something to watch. Why don't they do that more with the women since they have so many of them, but they don't know what to do with them?
they're kind of doing that with Emma and Becky right now. I think that's like a little tester or something. But to be honest, they're just not doing anything. When they even started the Divas Revolution, they brought up the NXT women, and that's what they focused on. They pretty much put every other female wrestler on the back burner and focused on them. Because you had, before that, Paige on her one Diva Revolution going against Team Bella, which ruled the locker room, kind of like, high school Mean Girls. That was good. You give her a team, great. No, she can fight fair. Forget Paige. Time to focus on everybody else. Throw her to the back burner. Let's give to Charlotte down the line. And the funniest thing is, their storylines, they don't pay enough attention to them. Paige and Charlotte had two of the same things happen to them. I was at Money in the Bank for one of them. Miley knows this argument. And it was Paige versus Nikki. They pulled off Twin Magic. Paige won when she rolled up Brie. 3 count, named the winner. Fine. No, Brie pulls tissue out of her bra saying, no, you beat me, not, Nikki. Ref never restarts the match or nothing. Nikki clocks her with a forearm. 1, 2, 3. Nikki wins. Monday Night Raw in Cleveland. She gets a 2-on-1 handicap match. And then they forget that. And not about a week later, NXT women come. Now you fast forward to, I want to say it was either Extreme Rules or Hell in a Cell that Charlotte had her first encounter with Nikki. Same thing happens. Charlotte beats Brie. Brie gets after whatever, somehow they get the match reversed. Stephanie McMahon reverses the match. However, Charlotte gets a title rematch. And then she wins, beats Nikki.
Wasn't that the one where Brie couldn't come up if there was any
DQ,
if there's any she automatically lost the belt?
Right.
It's like the same storyline, just being kind of recycled.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, they don't watch what they're doing. It's the same exact thing, but Paige's match never got restarted. She just got clocked with a forearm. The ref just waved off the match. Charlotte gets a rematch.
I'm curious about. I'm kind of curious with y'all's opinion on this because I was thinking about it as you were talking. How do you guys feel about? So obviously we had the whole. I wrote a paper on this, so that's why it's really in my mind right now. The whole CM Punk promo from 2011 that really put him on the map. What if someone did like a female did that? Yeah, like I was thinking Paige. I was like, what if someone what if somebody did that and that allowed them to like elevate themselves a little bit? Because because it's a weird. I don't know. It's a weird dynamic because I feel like it would be a great thing because I'm of the essence that the more you talk to me, the more I start to like you. Especially as a wrestler, the more promos you cut, the better you get at your promos, the more you start to grow on me if I don't like you at first. So I feel like that wouldn't be a bad thing, and maybe it's already happened. I know you had a point.
It has. If you Google YouTube Paige Bomb, more than likely you're gonna get it. She did pretty much 2 of them. It was when PCB broke up and she just broke away from it. She's pretty much saying Charlotte's only here for her because of her father. Becky's just not even looked at. You don't even see Lana and Summer because that's when they were just valeting and going at it between Dolph and Rusev. Pretty much she described everything that's happening within the Divas division. Like, they're just not being noticed, taken care of, or whatever. She did it. Everyone loved it. It trended for like 3 days on Twitter, at least. And I think it's great if they get more mic time. You actually get to know.
When did this happen?
4-ish.
Or where was it? Like where? Like was it on like a house show or was it like
No,
on a
it was
televised show?
Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw, and then she did a small one on SmackDown, just like a mini one. But it really worked. It got everyone behind her. And back to that, I don't know why they started, honestly, the Divas Revolution off with Charlotte. I think this was because they brought up the NXT women. To be honest, if you want to start it over, she could have started with Paige and then broke up PCB and gone from there. Oh, sorry, Rusev is going crazy on the TV right now. And so is Raven.
Yeah, because I was wondering about that because I was like, that was such a big thing for CM Punk when he got really big, and kind of broke out. So I was wondering why, because I don't know if maybe it's like one of those things like, oh, and at that point they were still like technically the Divas, so it was kind of like a weird dynamic, I guess. They were still like, oh, maybe it's not as significant.
Right. Also, AJ Lee did a pipe bomb when it was, oh Lord, a couple years ago.
On Twitter.
No, it wasn't Twitter. It was live on Monday Night Raw when she called out everybody that was out there on the main roster. Like, it was a match when Eva Marie was just starting on the main roster.
When Total Divas was first starting.
Yeah, so around the time of season 1 of Total Divas, AJ Lee tore into everybody and just dropped the mic and went. So it works. It works for the edgier divas.
I feel like
or the women. God,
it would
stupid
work
term.
better if, like, I feel like the divas already have
The women.
the women already have a following. Like, Sasha gets a giant chance. Like, there is a following behind them. People love, these people. But there's no push with the WWE for it. So even you can have as much support from the crowd as you can possibly have, but if the company is not giving you the time, and there's been plenty of women wrestlers saying that they have no idea what's happening with their storyline because they're not getting a storyline because the WWE is still focused on the male-populated roster. They're not worried about the women's division, even with the change of the title. And you would think with that change, they would have had like a huge storyline, like split the show. Half the show goes to the men, half the show goes to the women. Give them a fair amount of time. Split the titles. Do something. Don't just be like, oh, well, we're gonna give you a brand new shiny title and call you women, and that's great. Good job. That's basically what happened.
That's all they did right now. They reverted. We're lucky to see 2 women on Raw, if that. England, to be honest, for Raw and SmackDown were their best shows for women ever since WrestleMania.
Yeah.
To be after, that was about it.
Changing a name doesn't change the brand, and they haven't changed the brand. They're still divas.
And to start it off, the first actual feud, really, after the change from divas to women, is a recycled feud, which pisses me off.
Oh, Natty and Charlotte?
Yeah. The same exact thing that they did in NXT, they're doing again.
And more than likely, it's going to have the same outcome. I hope not. I'm hoping Michael Cole's hints say that Natty's taking that title.
And what I don't get is I keep hearing these rumors that they're not giving the title to Sasha until SummerSlam, and I still don't understand why they're not giving her, why they're waiting till SummerSlam. It just doesn't make any sense that they're waiting that long. I get it that SummerSlam is their second biggest show of the year.
Yeah.
It's too long of a wait.
I'm hoping they change it up and someone else gets the title in between and then she just gets it then. I'm hoping it's not Charlotte that carries it. And I think mainly she only has a title, I hate to say it, because she's a Flair. And they wanted someone with a name to bring in that title. However, they could have done it better. So much better.
You can have a name, but if you don't have the crowd behind you or the ability and you're only winning with help, it doesn't really give you the title.
They kind of did it, and she's going to hit me for this one. Got to go to the men real quick. They kind of did it with Seth Rollins. They did
Seth Rollins like that.
They didn't establish him right away. He kept having to win with, for the love of God, double whatever J&J security.
I love J&J.
You know,
I wouldn't want to win with J&J.
Or Triple H had to help him. They didn't really give him a chance to be established. He's a phenomenal wrestler, and I loved him in the Shield.
Because they made him a heel. They
But
made him a
it's
heel.
not even the heel part. Parts. It's the fact that they're not allowing him to establish himself and then go into the tricks. I think if they had done that with Charlotte, let her establish herself better than PCB, and then go into the Flair tricks, the dirtiest diva in the game or dirtiest woman in the game would work out perfectly.
It worked out well for Seth Rollins.
But I feel like even, going with Seth Rollins too and Charlotte to an extent, I feel like they overdo the, sort of cowardly heel.
I hated that.
I feel like every heel is a cowardly heel. I didn't have a problem with Seth Rollins being a heel, but knowing his history, knowing what he did in the Indies, knowing what he did as Tyler Black, knowing what he did in NXT before he came up, he could have been a heel and been like a badass heel, not a, do something and then hide behind mommy and daddy, Triple H, and Stephanie. That it just made him look weak, and
that's what I'm saying.
I think I've had that. You heard me go on rants about it. I think it ticked me off to no one when all of a sudden okay, why are you running from Dean Ambrose? You won almost every single one of your NXT matches against him.
Right.
Why are you running from these people? I've seen plenty of Tyler Black matches, and he was such an aerialist. He's good, he's fast, and he's good on his feet. They should have incorporated that more. You don't need to run when you can, hit people. And I don't know.
Yeah.
It just bothered me a lot.
But that's what they're doing with Charlotte too, though. You can see it. She's hiding behind Flair all the time, and that's what I hate. I think she's got potential to be great if she can get some of her promo mic skills down pretty well, and her fluidness in the ring needs to improve. She's got the talent in the moves. She just needs to get better. I guess you could say more in sync with the other women. Because you can see it when she goes for some moves and it's very botched, and some others are very well. But
I think she came up really fast, and they pushed her really hard. There's a difference between her and Seth Rollins too. Seth was down in the main roster. He had a following already with the Shield. We got to see his abilities with the Shield.
Yeah.
He was a tag team champion, with Roman Reigns with the Shield and stuff like that. We had seen him kind of grow. And when he did that, it was kind of he's doing it for this reason. With Charlotte, it's okay, you can't wrestle. You don't have promo skills. You haven't established yourself on the main roster. Yeah, you did well in NXT, but nobody really, followed that from, a lot of people. There is, a disconnect between main roster and NXT. So everybody's here's this person. Oh, she's Ric Flair's daughter.
that's it. And they need to steer clear from that. I think Charlotte is going to be just fine as soon as she gets away and she turns on Rick. I think she's going to be 100 times better as soon as she turns on her father.
I would like her way more.
Yeah.
And, no, I think it's going to help her more. It's going to help her be more established. I think that's when we're going to see the true talent come out of Charlotte. To be honest, like I said, they pushed her really fast. They dropped their One Diva Revolution to Flair Revolution, and that's all we've seen. We don't even get a chance to see anything else. I mean, on Superstars and main event, you can watch the women because there's at least one match there. They're actually pretty decent. I do recommend them.
I mean, I think she's always been good, but to be fair, I feel like she's been in a couple of the match of the year matches that they've said on NXT, but I feel like her opponents kind of carried those matches for the most part. I think she could be good. She just needs more work. She needed to be like you were saying she needed sort of that Shield kind of entrance where something to help her, not just this is Ric Flair's daughter. Because I don't care who you're the daughter of or who's your uncle. If you're just debuting and going on that, I'm not going to care. It's the same thing that they did with Natty. That's part of why I love Natty, but at the same time I don't care about Natty because all they talk about is the fact that she's Bret Hart's niece. But that's all they care about, and it never got. I feel like she never got that, established spot that she could have got if she didn't, have to just, be built up as Bret Hart's niece. It's fine that, she's related, but I think both of these women needed to be, brought in and established on their own merit, on their own talent, because both of them have talent.
Mm-hmm.
Like we said, obviously Charlotte needs to, you know, clean up some of her moves and, work on being a little bit more fluid in the ring. But she has the talent. They just need to build it up with her, not with Rick, because Rick's not always going to be there. God forbid he has a heart attack in the ring, which I'm pretty sure is going to happen one of these days. I don't want to see it, but it's going to happen. They just need to they need to build these women on their own, and all of them in general. A lot of them they've done really well. Again,
But when you say, because I mean, I'm like the only one who I actually liked Seth Rollins as a heel. I liked the cowardly crap he was pulling. I think because I think the same thing we're getting mad at him for to a certain degree. Because yes, he is a real talented guy, and they were kind of hiding behind that, probably for an even better face run. Um, I feel like that's helped him a lot. Like that whole like cowardly heel helped him come out of not necessarily his shell, but like helped him establish himself as an individual once he broke out of the Shield, which is the same stuff we get mad at Roman for. That he's not like out of that Shield like shell, I guess you could say. So I mean, I don't know. I personally like Rollins' heel run.
I like everything about Seth Rollins, so even when he's
I'm,
bad, he's good.
Cause like to me, and like, cause I felt like with Rollins, even though he was running, even though he was being the typical heel, when it came time to get in the ring and put on a good match, that's exactly what he did every single time. I I think he's Mr. Pay-Per-View
Yeah.
right now.
Mhm.
I love him.
I like
The
you saw
difference-
how good he was when he did that, the double championship. Did it with John Cena, and then they went against Sting right after it. It was the back-to-back fighting. You could see like he didn't stop. You could see that he's a strong competitor. There was a long time to be in a ring, by yourself against two opponents basically who had fresh starts. So I was, I think what. I'm not tweeting this. I'm sorry.
We're lost.
I think there's a big difference though between the Rollins and Reigns there. For one, and I know Gito's gonna be like, stop hating, but Seth Rollins did, he's been wrestling, since he was young. Roman Reigns didn't want to go into wrestling until, his football career didn't work out.
My rebuttal for that is WWE.
No.
Wrestling is a far-fetched dream
No,
for everyone.
but what I'm saying is, Rollins has had the years to perfect his in-ring,
Correct.
skills. And at the same time, when they changed him from the Shield to his heel run, at least they changed things about him. They changed his character. They changed his music. They changed at least they changed his attire to an extent. They haven't changed anything about Roman Reigns at all.
But why should we hate Roman for that point?
I don't hate Roman for that point, but it's just
We hate WWE Creative for their booking.
I think you can only do so much with creative though when the talent is kind of stiff. I don't like it's hard for Roman. Like I can see them trying to he's trying to change a little bit. He's starting to be more heel, but even that it's just weird to see him like that. Just because he doesn't pull it off well. I think there's a difference between Seth Rollins. It was easy to make him look like a coward. It was easy to change him from being a strong guy in the Shield to going like this. It was easy to make him a guy that was in a faction of three to a singles guy because he had the talent. He has character. Kobe Lopez, obviously, he's switched his brand so many times. He has the flexibility. He can go heel. He can go face. He has good mic skills. His wrestling style can change. His look can change. Roman just has that personality, and he doesn't have a good personality on the mic. He doesn't have that, whereas other people do. So it's a little hard for creative to just do something good with something when it's kind of just to begin with.
Here's the funny thing: our two big champions, Charlotte and Roman. Guess what? They're the same. Because they do great in a tag team setting. I did like Charlotte when she was with PCB. I thought she did well. She just standing on her own is a little rough right now. If she were to fix it up some, great. But those two are the same. They need to figure out how to brand them a little bit better, and maybe they need to go back to NXT help and do some matches with them and do like promo class or something.
I think to go back to Roman also, like, I think they could turn him heel if they stop. Just don't let him have the mic.
Duh. He needs a mouthpiece.
Don't have him say it. He doesn't even need that. Just have him beat people up. Just
like Brock Lesnar. It's better when he doesn't talk.
Right. I think the person to turn Roman heel is Dean. That's the easiest thing in the books because they're brothers. And that's the easy way to turn him heel. I mean, you saw it in the matches when they had their like triple threat matches. When he went after Dean, it was simple.
I don't care about seeing Roman as a heel. I don't care about him as a face. Like, I would rather see Dean as a heel.
Yeah.
He would be a better one. It's not he's just not entertaining. I don't find him entertaining. Whenever Roman's on my TV, I'm like, please get off of it.
And that's what I have with Charlotte. She has one emotion for everything. She's mad, it's the same emotion. She's sad, same damn emotion. She doesn't change the influx in her voice at all. I don't know what they could benefit from. Some classes. Honestly, I think they just need more classes in NXT to go down on their off days and learn from the others. Because these are two people who did not come, nor did they want to go into wrestling. Like, I don't remember which one of y'all said it. Might have been Casey.
I did.
Charlotte? You did, Casey? All right. Good job, Casey.
He made me. Yeah.
He made me here. Charlotte, you know what she was doing? She was a personal trainer before someone came up to her. I think it was Michael Hayes might have even came up to her and said, why don't you go into wrestling? And that's when she went into it. I don't even think she was in NXT for maybe a year, 2 years before they pulled her up. Maybe. And that's with no wrestling experience at all, except for showing up and watching your father. That's it. That's all she had. And that's kind of what Roman at least was in NXT longer and can wrestle decently, but they didn't do those two any justice by pulling them so quickly. And then you go have her versus like, I don't know, Sasha, who was in the Indies since she was, I think, 16. Becky traveling across Europe at 15 when she went wrestling. Emma did the same thing. She came from Australia to Europe, and I don't know if she did Shimmer. I'm not sure if she was a part of the Shimmer class, but it's hard to put those same people together. People who have done this craft for their entire life, the people who have just started 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Very difficult to do.
There's a lot of people I would like to see move up from indie circuits to come to WWE and kick out some of the WWE people right now. Like, I would be fine getting rid of, I don't know, Rosa. I know she, I like Alicia. She can stay. Naomi can stay. We haven't seen Ariane in a while. She can go. Eva, I like Eva just because, I don't know, I like to hate her, but she can go. Mandy's doing a good job starting, but she needs more training. She shouldn't move up for a long time. I'd like to see like Veta Scott come up, stuff like that. Santana Garrett. They gave her that chance on NXT, and then she just went back to her indies. That's what she's doing right now. She's back down in the indies doing matches. Let's bring Santana Garrett up.
I think she has a part-time contract though.
Yeah, but still, why give part-time contracts to people who deserve them and give them to be like, oh, you're a bodybuilder. Oh, you're a fitness model. Here you go. We'll try and train you. You're, mediocre, but we'll put you in some good matches with people who actually know how to wrestle to make you look good.
That's because WWE is all about building their own. They don't care about your past at all. That's it.
You should.
And they don't want to incorporate it because they want to say, "Hey, we made this.
Yep,
This is
that
ours."
that is true. That's exactly how they are. That's why they try to push Roman, guys like Roman, so hard because that's their like I guess
Boy.
homemade. Yeah, that's like their homemade like jewel that they want to try and
But like Baron
get to.
Corbin too. He was building up. Baron
Yeah.
Corbin's the same way. Oh, you were a football player. We're gonna take all these football players and make them into wrestlers because they already have the build.
Yeah, and I know, me and DJ have had this discussion, how I'm a hater to people who, didn't go up in the indies, but it shows when you've gone up in the indies. It shows. We've said, we've had good matches with, somebody who's gone up in the indies and then somebody who hasn't. We've had good matches with those guys. But think about the matches that we have with guys who both have gone up in the indies. Think about how much better those matches are. And if WWE just, put their money in guys like that, how high would their ratings go? How many more t-shirts would they sell? How many more shows would they sell out? We wouldn't have these rumors of these pictures of empty arenas anymore. We wouldn't have all this stuff,
Or even if they want to take, the football players and stuff, they need to keep them down in NXT a lot longer than they have been. They just want to put, I don't know, they just want to make money and they can do it off their name. That's all they're going to do. But they need to keep those people down longer to build their craft before you're going to put them in a match with someone who's been wrestling 13 years, I think one of them.
Like, you can definitely see, like, who would you rather see in a fight? Like, Sasha versus Becky or Sasha versus Eva Marie?
Right. And the thing is, like, you can see it in the match. Sasha and Becky, it was when Sasha was NXT Women's Champion. It was on the line. One of the best matches I've seen in a long time. Those two damn near tore the house down and tore each other's arms off. For the love of God. And that was the precursor to Bayley and Sasha.
Yeah.
Just like Emma and Paige was the precursor to Sasha and Becky. These, like, 4 women in NXT, you say the 4 horsemen, you take out, and I don't include Charlotte in this. I have Becky, Sasha, Bayley, and Paige. And Emma, okay, 5 women. You take those 5 women, they built the women's division from NXT to the main roster, without a doubt. No one can argue that at all.
Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens promo.
But, you don't see this in the main roster at all. You just don't. And you get your best matches, and the crowd's really into it when one of those 5 women are in a match, if not both of them. So, I don't know.
Yeah, and I feel like it's weird because like it seems like the guys who have the most experience are the guys who are in NXT the longest. And females, that are in NXT the longest. Like I don't even know. I'm still scratching my head. Only one because it's itching, and 2 because Shinsuke Nakamura is still in NXT. I'm still Eric Young just debuted in NXT, and I don't know why.
I mean, for some of them,
Shinsuke is promos, by the way, because he doesn't speak English well, and WWE is mainly promos, so 35% of the show is promos on.
Yeah,
but I mean, for some of those, I can understand. Like with Shinsuke Nakamura, his English in general, and it's probably not even just promos. It's in ring work. There's a bunch of guys on the main roster that have never wrestled a match with Shinsuke Nakamura. So they're gonna have to figure out how they're gonna do that because a lot of guys, I don't know how Shinsuke Nakamura does it, but a lot of guys call their matches during the match. Like they'll call moves together. So you have to have that kind of communication. So that could be. But I mean, there are guys like I don't know why Austin Aries. To an extent, again, I know because WWE. There's the professional wrestling style of wrestling, and then there's WWE's. So they're trying to teach all these guys their way of things. I get it, but I don't think Austin Aries should be down there. I don't think Eric Young should be down there. It's kind of unfair that, guys like Austin Aries and Eric Young have to be down in NXT, but AJ Styles gets put right back up there. I think all of them should just be on the main roster, and keep the guys that need more work down in NXT.
I think a guy I was talking to about this made a valid point that WWE is trying to stay away from TNA chants a little bit, because if you put he was saying, and this was his argument, if you put guys like Samoa Joe and AJ Styles in the same ring, because obviously Samoa Joe's ready, obviously AJ Styles already up there. If you put them in the same ring, there may be like TNA chants, and I think WWE, I don't know if WWE's scared of that, but obviously WWE tries to say that TNA is not a real thing to them.
But I mean, you're always going to get those chants, even when some of the ECW legends come back, you still get ECW chants.
Well, they're okay with that because WWE bought ECW and they ran an ECW brand which was run by Stephanie McMahon and Paul.
That's why it was ruined.
Yeah. But
no, don't remind me of those times.
I get what you're saying, DJ, because it makes sense, and that what you're saying also makes a point to why they change and take their specific movesets and change them, because I can tell you like only a third of Paige and Becky's movesets come from their indie matches that I've seen for years. I've watched these girls wrestle since they were like 16, and they only do like a third of what they did in there. But it's also because, go back to our bodybuilder, fitness model thing, these women who've wrestled for long can
take the bumps, they can take the hits, they know how to land.
Right. The
WWE
bodybuilders
is too afraid of people getting hurt and injured, but even though their injured list is off the roof right now, so because they have the same people wrestling every single night consistently, even though they have a giant roster to choose from.
Right, and that's the thing. Also, they don't want to sign everyone and then bring them up to the main roster. Then you're just going to replace your entire roster at that rate. There's Baron Corbin.
Baron Corbin.
Sorry, Baron Corbin appeared on TV. Miley got distracted, but they're afraid of what an Asuka is gonna do to an Eva Marie, so they won't let Asuka use not even like half her moves. I think 2 or
Asuka can't even throw a kick against Eva Marie.
No, that I just said because I just watched that match today on my lunch break. It's just they're afraid of what they're gonna do. But when you put like women, like when Paige and Becky will go at it, they've wrestled each other since they were 16.
Why don't they let those?
WWE doesn't care at that point. If they know these women can do it, like those two, they'll let them do whatever move they really want, and you can see it. Versus when you have, Charlotte and someone else, you're not going to see those same moves.
But I mean, at the same time, WWE has put how many millions of dollars into the Performance Center? How many millions of dollars in NXT? If you really train these people like you have the ability to do, you have the ability to build up these, train these superstars to, take these bumps, to take all these moves. If they took the time to do it, then we can have all these awesome matches. It wouldn't matter. But WWE wants to fast track everybody.
I agree, and they have legends too. Like they have legends in NXT working with these guys, and not only that, they could even use some of the guys from the Indies who had all these years and years of work to help those guys out who haven't had the years and years of experience that the guys from the Indies have.
Yeah, it's kind of sad to see the difference, though.
I just think it's less of a difference for the men's division, which sounds kind of bad, but I think they get more focused on in NXT too, even, when they're training up. I think there's a vast difference between, the women's roster compared to the men of capability. They don't train some of the women. The women, look at that. They threw Eva in matches, put her on the main roster, and then they realized, ooh, she really can't wrestle whatsoever. She went and got personal training and is still down in that. Well, she was in NXT, and trying to bump her into the main roster again, but I don't think that she's ready still to come up.
No, I mean, you can see it in the match. She's vastly improved. I will say that from seeing her live.
But she's NXT level now.
Yeah, she's just breaching NXT level. She's not main roster level. And honestly, if they bring up any more women from NXT, what in God's green earth are they going to do with them? They can't even do anything with the 12 women. I think the 12 current women that I see floating around the backstage area. They brought up Emma. And
they need to do more with
Emma.
Emma.
They don't really use her. The Emma and Becky feud is phenomenal. I love the idea. But
Evil Emma is amazing.
Evil Emma is awesome. But Becky and Emma, that feud, if watching them wrestle, and the segments are hilarious, but they could do so much more with that. They could pull it. And that's going to get more pop than a title match without legends in the world. If you take out the Bret Hart and Ric Flair factor, and you have Emma and Becky and then you have Charlotte and Natty on one side, Emma and Becky will get the pop and get the support from the crowd more than that women's title. That's sad. That is sad. That title match will not get that much.
Because it's going to be more entertaining to watch two, seasoned wrestlers go at it, not even seasoned. I just think their moveset is way better. Their moveset that they brought over to, like, the main roster than, I think, like, Natty kind of, uses the heart background. She does the sharpshooter.
And then
Charlotte
does, clothesline, which is great. She can wrestle. Natty can wrestle.
But it still is using older moves. She's not really rebranding herself. Same thing with Charlotte. Oh, I can do a figure 4, bridge. Oh, we'll just name it the figure 8.
And the moonsault's pretty nice, but that's it. That's all Charlotte's bringing to the table. Becky with her T-bone exploder suplexes. Holy crap. That woman can kick your ass with those. Paige has her, the Rampage, which is pretty cool. Paige Turner. Paige Turner's okay. The PTO is the modified Scorpion clutch hold, which I love. And she brought those from England. Damian Sandow. Okay. Sorry, guys.
He's alive. Oh, my God.
What?
Damian Sandow and Baron Corbin.
Damian Sandow versus Baron Corbin.
Jobber.
What?
Because he's a jobber right now. And
Didn't they try to do that on Raw? And then...
Yes, that's what they're showing. I swear that's a whole nother segment right there. There's a whole nother podcast. Talk about all that. But, I don't know. They don't do anything. We don't see half the women anymore. We just don't. England, I'm telling you, were the last best shows for the women. You saw a great, a really good 8-woman tag match. Had a good enough time. You could build up moves and the story within it. And then SmackDown had a good match with Paige and Natty versus Tamina and Naomi. So
I'll be honest. I love Ring of Honor as a company, but I think they're struggling to build their women's division because I watched a match on a pay-per-view and I almost walked out of the room. It was so bad. And that's surprising for Ring of Honor to put on something that's not good to my eyes. But I don't know. I feel like we're kind of in a transitional period. Especially Ring of Honor is just starting, so I get it for them. But WWE there's just no excuse. They have too much money. They have
too much talent.
Yeah, too much talent at that. And
I mean, even in NXT with the women now, I know they're going through a rebuilding process, but they've had so many that they don't use or they've let go. Santana Garrett, they should have kept her on permanently. Even, women like Alexa Bliss wasn't the best in the ring, but she had potential. When is the last time we've seen her? There's so many that had the potential, and we don't see them anymore.
I don't know. And I don't even know what they're doing with their former women's champ, Bayley. No one knows. That doesn't make sense. I know Dana Brooke's coming back, and they're kind of giving her some rehab type matches, and
they paired Nia with Mandy, which is just weird.
It's because she's the Eva red and gold everything.
It's just weird. It's just
oh god.
It's weird. I don't understand it. Okay,
I think Nia Jax deserves a good chance. I like her a lot. I like her a.
she could hang with Asuka. She's got the power and build to hang with Asuka.
But can she take a bump? Can she?
Yeah.
I don't know.
She can give one.
Just because she's a huge lady doesn't mean she can't take a bump, Casey. Sizist. Goodness. Sexist, sizist, racist.
I don't know. I just think the WWE is currently failing in certain ways. They've reverted, even in NXT, which was for a while really focused on women. The women's matches were so much better than the men's, and now they're just kind of going down.
They need to give Asuka better opponents. They
Well,
need to hire
Asuka cannot. I'm sorry, but Asuka needs to be brought up or something because there's no one on that flipping NXT roster that can hang with her. Really,
I want to see Sasha versus Asuka.
Sasha versus Asuka.
That'd be
versus
amazing.
Asuka. Paige, Emma even. Again, Emma and Asuka was a pretty good match until Emma got knocked out in NXT. NXT Cleveland, she got knocked out from a kick. And we saw it actually in the promo package because we were there. We were in it. So it's pretty cool. But they need to move her up and let someone else have that title because she's too powerful. When they take the actual women's wrestlers, they don't pair them right with the right opponents or don't give them time to prepare. It's a performance center. Those women can practice together anytime, but they don't do it. It's
I just think that was horrible booking. I mean, obviously, she was one of the biggest signings they've had. That's what they say on like every signing now in NXT.
Right.
But, she was huge from Japan. Everyone loved her. Everyone was hyped. So they wanted to fast track her to the title. That's not a good idea when you don't have anybody that can match her. What is the point of putting the title on somebody when you don't even have opponents for her? Nobody,
no one can match her.
Yeah.
They should have just, honestly, I don't even think they needed to put her as NXT Women's Champion. She's one of those ones that could have gone the main roster right, like after you get her mic skills or whatever established. They could have put her on the main roster and had her go after someone else.
I think Funaki should just be the manager for both of them. Just Japanese stable.
Tamina and Asuka would be actually pretty decent. Tamina can actually wrestle if they let her. I've seen some of her matches. They don't let her do a damn thing. It's usually Naomi they put in the ring, which sucks. I love Naomi. She can wrestle, but I like Tamina and I like to see her.
I love this one.
Sorry, she gets distracted easily if anything.
This is my favorite commercial right now. That's what I tell you.
That's just
Dolph Ziggler, Titus O'Neil one, where it's so funny.
Casey, you have anything else you need to? Any divas topics?
Women.
Women.
I don't know. There's a whole other videos I think we need to do just in general about WWE and their
and their roster,
their divisions, their storylines.
How they should actually book. Forget all these promos. You don't need them all.
I don't know, but kind of, I guess closing this one to kind of segue to a future video, just in general. I know people compare, WWE now to the Attitude Era, which I don't think you should do. We're never going to have another Attitude Era. But if you think about it, if you go back, WWE had all of these divisions. They had all the different divisions, all the titles. Every single division, every single title had its own storyline and had good writing on the storylines and had good booking. I don't understand why WWE can't do that today. They have more money now. They have more, resources now than they did then. They don't have competition, which I kind of, in a sense, think they need to a point. But again, unless another billionaire buys another company and builds it up, they're not really going to have that one-on-one competition that they need. Because that was one thing that, helped WWE, when they had that competition.
ECW, WCW, TNA.
Yeah.
It's at its highest points, and that's when AJ Styles was there.
Yeah. I feel like TNA has the potential. Again, if
They need to get bought, and then they can have the potential. Dixie just needs to go.
I think you can only do so much too with creative when you're limited to PG. I think the best was when it was more PG-13 centric WWE. I don't know. I think it's gone downhill over the years, but I definitely have seen like the decline since we went to the PG era.
Well, that's when they started segregating everything and stopped actually caring about different titles and not giving them proper storylines and building them up. That if they start with that, they've got a gold mine right there. But they just like fired like 3 different writers and hired a few different people. I know one of the Foley kids is a writer now. I don't know if we're actually getting writers or what type of writers we're getting. Yes.
Is Noelle gonna be the physical? So Noelle's gonna be the writer, and she's like gonna physically come out and write it for us, so I can see her.
One of the sons is a writer, and Noelle wants to wrestle, and you know that's gonna end up happening. It's just gonna happen because
she just needs to be my manager when I go into the business.
You need a bodyguard. Call me.
No, you're my bodyguard. What?
All right.
She's my bodyguard. I take her places.
It's sad she does.
I literally am like, oh, you want to go out? You just left work. It's okay. Just come in your uniform.
This is no joke.
This is my bodyguard.
She does. It's sad. I've known her since high school, and this is what I get. I'll help you out, Casey. I'll ditch her.
All right. Yeah.
What about Team Ma?
Yeah.
Team Ma. Come on now.
Team boss. Yeah. We're going banks on it. But yeah, I think that's not another video we're gonna need to do at some point. Just there's just hours of conversation and debate that we could have on WWE.
What's wrong with the WWE?
That can cover anything. I think we're safe there.
You know what? I like where you're going with this. I like exactly what is not wrong with WWE should be the video. What is not wrong with WWE? That'll be a shorter video. But yeah, that's I think we've kind of rambled along enough for this video. I think we're going on like 6 hours or something like that. I don't know. That I don't have a timer here. But we will be back for our TNA video. DJ probably hasn't watched TNA yet, but I have. I haven't watched NXT yet, but we'll get to that, and I'm sure we have another video coming up or something like that. But we will see you on the dippity that is flippity after you follow the podcast right there, and you subscribe to the video. I think the button's like down there or something. It's somewhere on the page that you're on right now. But go follow the lovely ladies that is of the DDs, the DD. I don't
know.
DD _ Amy _ Miley.
MYLIE.
Yeah, I forgot the spelling thing.
Yeah, it's MYLIE. Don't be trying to spell it the right way. Spell it the.
No, that's how you spell it.
I've seen Miley, and that is not how you spell it. I've seen Miley Cyrus, and that is.
I'm older than her. I'm more. That was not even her name.
She was established first. Get over it.
Fine, whatever.
No.
But yeah, go follow them. They tweet and stuff, and
We're tweeting right now.
they're tweeting right now. So if you go follow them right now, which you can't do because this isn't live. This is technically pre-recorded. But if you go follow them, you can go see what they were tweeting and what they're currently tweeting right now. Whenever you watch this, so do that, and then we will see you sometime in the future that is not now. So you stay classy, San Diego.